Imagine this. You meet someone you really like, your heart starts racing, your mind is buzzing, and you want to tell them everything. You want them to know your story, your dreams, your struggles, your fears. You feel this urge to lay it all out, thinking if they know the real you, they'll stay. But here's the truth. Most people don't realize the moment you overshare, you give away your power. The more you put out on the table too quickly, the less value it holds. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about protecting yourself, your peace, and your dignity. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from a conversation and regretted how much you revealed? How many times have you felt exposed, like you gave someone ammunition they didn't deserve to have? We live in a world where everyone's taught to be open, be vulnerable, put it all out there. But not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone has earned the right to know the deepest parts of who you are. And especially when emotions are involved. When you really like someone, that's when you must be the most disciplined. Because your feelings can trick you into giving away parts of yourself that should be protected. What happens when you hand someone your entire story before they've proven themselves? You take away the natural process of discovery. You rob them of the chance to earn your truth. And without realizing it, you hand over power that can never be taken back. So let me ask you, do you want to be respected, valued, and remembered as someone worth knowing? Or do you want to be seen as an open book with no pages left to turn? This isn't about being cold. It's about being smart. It's about understanding that silence speaks louder than words, that control creates strength, and that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to simply say less. Because the moment you stop oversharing, especially with the ones you're drawn to, you step into a position of power, and people feel it. They notice it, they respect it, and most importantly, you protect yourself from being taken for granted. When you think about the people you admire most, the ones who leave a mark on you, notice how they never tell you everything right away. There's something about them that makes you want to know more. It's not just what they say, it's also what they don't say. That space they leave, that unanswered question, that hint of something deeper. It keeps you coming back. That's mystery, and mystery commands respect. Now think about the opposite. Think about someone who meets you for the first time and pours out their entire life story in one sitting. They tell you about their past, their mistakes, their family drama, their heartbreaks, every thought that crosses their mind. How do you feel in that moment? Do you respect them more, or do you start to feel overwhelmed? Maybe even a little put off. The truth is, the more someone overshares, the less special their story feels. It's not that their experiences aren't valuable, it's that they're giving it away too cheaply too soon, and anything that comes too easy rarely gets the respect it deserves. When you like someone, when you're drawn to them, that's when the temptation to overshare becomes the strongest. You want them to understand you. You want them to see who you really are. You think that if you put everything on the table, they'll appreciate your honesty. But human nature doesn't work that way. People respect what they have to work for. They respect what isn't immediately available. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity creates value. Let's put it this way. If you walk into a library and every single book has its pages wide open, ready for you to read from start to finish without effort, you lose interest quickly. But if there's a book with a locked cover, one that you have to earn the right to open, one that gives you only a glimpse at first, that's the book you keep thinking about. That's the one that pulls you in. The same thing happens in relationships. When you reveal everything too fast, you take away the process of discovery. And discovery is what makes people value you. Respect comes from restraint. It comes from knowing you have depth, but choosing not to expose all of it at once. It comes from sharing pieces of yourself slowly, deliberately, with the right people at the right time. Because when you hold back, you give the other person something to lean into, something to wonder about. They start to realize that you're not someone they can figure out in one conversation. You're not an open book lying on the table. You're a person with layers, with boundaries, with self-control, and that's what earns respect. Now, let's be clear. Mystery doesn't mean you play games or hide who you are. It doesn't mean you become distant or fake. Mystery simply means you know your worth, And you don't hand over your entire life to someone who hasn't earned that privilege yet. It means you respect yourself enough to let people discover you over time. Because the truth is, when you overshare, you're not just giving information, you're giving access. And access is power. People who respect you will take their time, they'll ask, they'll listen, they'll earn their way into your world. But if you give everything away in the beginning, you rob them of that process. You turn what could have been a meaningful journey into a one-time download. And what happens when someone feels like they already know everything about you? The curiosity fades, the spark dims, the respect weakens. Think about some of the most influential figures in history, leaders, and even people in your own life who carry authority. They don't run around telling everyone their entire plan, their whole strategy, their private thoughts. They speak with intention. They reveal what's necessary, not everything, and because they're selective. People lean in when they do speak. People listen. That's the power of mystery. Now bring this into your own life. The next time you're with someone you're interested in, and you feel that urge to prove yourself by telling them everything, pause. Ask yourself, have they earned the right to know this part of me? Do I trust them enough to carry this piece of my story? Or am I giving away something valuable just to feel accepted? That moment of pause is where self-respect lives. And here's something important. Mystery doesn't just make others respect you, it also makes you respect yourself. When you control your words, when you choose what to reveal, and when you start to feel stronger, more confident, you're no longer desperate for validation or approval. You're grounded in your own value. You know that your life, your story, your experiences, they are not to be scattered like confetti for anyone who walks into your world. They are treasures, and treasures are only shared with those who prove themselves worthy. So never underestimate the power of holding back. Never underestimate the impact of leaving some questions unanswered. Because people are drawn not to what they already know, but to what they don't know yet. And when you like someone, the best gift you can give yourself and them is patience. Let them discover you piece by piece. Let them earn the privilege of knowing your depths. That's how you build respect. That's how you maintain your power. And that's how you ensure that when you do share, your words carry weight, your story carries meaning, and your presence commands the respect it deserves. Every person you meet is forming an opinion of you, whether you realize it or not. The way you carry yourself, the words you choose, and especially the parts of your life you choose to reveal. These things all build the story people believe about you. And here's where so many people lose their footing. They let others write their story instead of controlling it themselves. They overshare. They spill every detail without thinking. And before they know it, their narrative has been hijacked. When you don't control your narrative, people will take the pieces you've carelessly handed them and build a version of you that may not even be accurate. Maybe you shared a story about a past failure because you wanted to be relatable, but now that person only sees you through the lens of that failure. Maybe you told them about a mistake you made years ago, trying to be honest, but now that's the part of you they remember most. You may have shared it to connect, but instead it framed you in a way you didn't intend. That's the danger of oversharing. You give away the pen that writes your story, and once it's out there, you can't control how others interpret it. You need to understand something powerful. You are the author of your narrative. You decide what people get to know about you. You decide which chapters they're allowed to read. And you decide when and how they get to read them. That's not being secretive. That's being intentional. There's a big difference between honesty and exposure. Honesty means you're truthful in what you share. Exposure means you hand over everything, even when it's not wise. Too many people confuse the two, and they end up regretting it. Think about people who command respect in any field, leaders, professionals, mentors, even close friends you look up to. They know how to control their narrative. They don't walk into a room and dump their entire life story in the first 5 minutes. They speak with purpose, and they reveal what enhances their credibility, what builds trust, what makes others lean in. They understand that once something leaves their mouth, it can never be taken back. So they choose their words like currency, spending carefully with intention. When you like someone, it's easy to forget this. Your emotions drive you to share more than you should. You want them to see the real you. You think by giving them all the details, your childhood struggles, your family issues, your insecurities, they'll connect with you faster. But what you're really doing is giving away control of your own narrative. You're saying, here, take all of me, even the parts I haven't decided whether you deserve to see. And once you do that, you can't control how they'll use it. They might respect it, or they might misuse it. They might see you as strong, or they might see you as weak. You don't get to decide anymore, because you handed over the power. Controlling your narrative is about self-respect. It's about understanding that not everyone should have equal access to you. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your house and start rummaging through your drawers, so why would you let them do that with your life? Your story is your house, it's where your identity lives, and only the people who prove themselves trustworthy should be invited into the deeper rooms. Everyone else should stay in the living room, where they get just enough to know you, but not enough to misuse you. Here's the truth, people don't need to know everything about you to respect you. In fact, the less they know, the more intrigued they are. The less you give away, the more carefully they listen. When you do speak, when you control your narrative, you shape how others experience you. You guide what they remember, what they admire, and how they treat you. If you keep telling stories of your weaknesses and struggles, that's what they'll see. If you constantly vent about your problems, that's how they'll define you. But if you choose to highlight your strength, your resilience, your growth, that becomes the story that surrounds you. This isn't about pretending to be perfect. It's about being intentional. You can share your struggles, but share them with purpose. Share them in a way that shows how you overcame them. Not just how they broke you. Share them when the time is right, when the other person has earned the right to hear them. Because when you choose what to reveal and how to reveal it, you stay in control. You hold the pen, you write the story. Ask yourself this: are the people in your life seeing the version of you that you want them to see, or the version you carelessly gave away? Do they respect you because of how you carry yourself, or do they secretly judge you because you reveal too much too soon? Every conversation is an opportunity to shape the way you're remembered. Every story you tell is a brick in the house of your reputation. So choose wisely which bricks you use and who you let walk inside. The people who truly care about you will wait. They'll be patient as you reveal more. They'll respect the boundaries you set. And when you finally do open up, it will mean something because it wasn't given cheaply. It was given with thought, with trust, with intention. That's what makes your narrative powerful. That's what keeps you from being defined by the wrong parts of your story. So remember this, not everyone deserves your truth. Not everyone has earned the right to know who you really are. Protect your narrative, guard it like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. The way others see you, the way they treat you, the way they remember you. It all comes down to the story you allow them to read, and if you don't control it, someone else will. Silence is one of the most underestimated forms of strength you can possess. Most people think power comes from how loud you are, how much you say, or how fast you respond. But real power often comes from restraint, from the ability to stay quiet when everything inside you wants to speak. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is control. And if you master it, people will start paying attention to you in ways they never did before. When you're silent, you create space. And in that space, people reveal themselves. Think about the last time you had a conversation where you stayed quiet longer than usual. What happened? The other person probably kept talking. They filled the silence. They told you things they may not have planned on sharing. That's the power of silence. It draws out truth. When you're the one who listens, you get to see the bigger picture. You gather information, you understand people more deeply, and you do it all without giving away too much of yourself. See, listening is an art, but few people practice it. Most aren't really listening. They're just waiting for their turn to speak. They're planning their response instead of absorbing what's being said. But when you truly listen, you set yourself apart. You make the other person feel seen and heard. And at the same time, you're collecting details, perspectives, and insights that others miss. That information becomes power. Because the more you understand someone, the more control you have over how you engage with them. Here's the danger of oversharing. When you talk too much, you reveal more than you should. You hand over your thoughts, your emotions, your vulnerabilities, and in doing so, you lose leverage. But when you stay silent, when you practice listening, you maintain that leverage. You're no longer reacting emotionally. You're observing strategically, and observation gives you an edge. Think about negotiation. The strongest negotiators are the ones who know when to stop talking. They ask a question and then they go quiet. They let the silence work in their favor. The other person, uncomfortable with the pause, starts to reveal more, often giving away information they didn't intend. That's not manipulation, that's discipline. That's knowing the weight silence carries. And in your personal life, the same principle applies. When you like someone, the urge to fill every silence with words can be overwhelming. You want to keep their attention, keep the conversation alive, prove you're interesting. But in reality, silence does the opposite of what you fear. It builds tension in a good way. It creates anticipation. It makes the other person curious about what you're thinking. If you constantly flood the space with words, they never get a chance to miss your voice. But if you hold back, if you allow silence to sit comfortably, they lean in, they wonder, they feel drawn to you without you even trying. Listening also teaches you who people really are. If you slow down and pay attention, you'll notice the little things, the way their tone shifts when they talk about certain topics, the pauses between their words, the contradictions in their stories. People reveal more through what they don't say than through what they do, but you'll only catch it if you're quiet long enough to hear it. And here's the truth. Silence requires confidence. It takes strength to sit in a moment without rushing to fill it. It takes self-control to listen without immediately reacting. People who are insecure overshare because they're trying to prove themselves. They're trying to gain approval through words. But people who are confident know they don't have to. They understand that less is more. They understand that silence, used wisely, makes every word they eventually choose to say more impactful. Have you ever noticed how someone who rarely speaks suddenly captures everyone's attention? When they do, that's not an accident. That's the power of silence. When you don't constantly talk, your words gain weight. People know that if you're saying something, it's worth listening to. Silence builds credibility. It makes others respect your presence without you having to demand it. Listening also makes you a better communicator. When you take the time to really hear someone, you understand what matters to them. You learn their fears, their hopes, their insecurities. And when you respond, your words carry more precision because they're rooted in understanding, not assumption. You're no longer speaking just to speak. You're speaking with intention, and that intention makes you unforgettable. Think about relationships, both personal and professional. The people who make the deepest connections are not the ones who dominate every conversation, but the ones who truly listen. When you listen, you're telling the other person, you matter. I value your perspective. I'm paying attention. That kind of presence is rare. And because it's rare, it's powerful. Silence also protects you. The less you say, the less can be used against you. The less you reveal, the less opportunity there is for someone to twist your words or exploit your vulnerabilities. Silence is like armor. It shields you from giving away parts of yourself that haven't been earned. It allows you to engage with people without sacrificing your sense of control. But let me make this clear. Silence is not about being passive or cold. It's about being deliberate. It's about knowing that you don't always need to respond, that you don't always need to explain yourself, that sometimes the strongest statement you can make is no statement at all. It's about letting your presence, your energy, and your actions do the talking for you. So the next time you feel the urge to fill the air with words, stop, ask yourself, is what I'm about to say necessary? Is it intentional, or am I speaking out of insecurity, fear, or a desire to impress? Because if it's the latter, silence will serve you better. Let the other person talk. Let them reveal themselves. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Silence and listening are not weaknesses. They are forms of mastery. They give you clarity, they give you control, and they give you the ability to see people for who they really are, while keeping your own power intact. Because the truth is, the more you listen, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the less you need to prove. And in a world where everyone is desperate to be heard, the one who listens stands out. The one who understands silence commands respect, and the one who knows when to speak and when not to carries a power that words alone could never create. Real relationships are not built overnight. They are not formed in a single conversation or through sharing everything you have all at once. Real relationships are earned. And the truth is, when you give people unlimited access to who you are without requiring them to prove themselves, you weaken the bond before it even has a chance to grow. The strongest connections are the ones where both people have invested time, patience, and effort. That's what makes it valuable. That's what makes it last. Think about anything you've ever worked hard for. A degree, a job, a personal achievement. The very reason you value it so much is because you had to earn it. It cost you time, discipline, maybe even sacrifice. And when you finally held it in your hands, it meant something. It carried weight. Relationships work the same way. When someone has to earn access to you, when they have to show consistency, respect, and genuine care, the relationship becomes deeper. It isn't built on impulse or convenience. It's built on effort. But too often, when people feel a spark, when they really like someone, they skip this process. They rush to hand over their story, their secrets, their vulnerabilities, thinking that instant openness will create closeness. But what actually happens is the opposite. Instead of building respect, oversharing creates imbalance. You end up giving away the most valuable parts of yourself before the other person has invested anything in return. And human nature doesn't work like that. People don't value what comes without cost. Earned access is what separates real relationships from temporary ones. If someone is genuinely interested in you, they'll be willing to wait. They'll be willing to peel back the layers slowly. They won't pressure you to reveal everything at once, because they know the process of discovery is what makes the bond meaningful. They understand that the best connections are built piece by piece, moment by moment. Imagine you're walking into a museum filled with priceless artifacts. Now imagine if every single artifact was sitting in the lobby, unprotected, exposed for anyone to grab or touch. Would people respect it? Would they treat it as priceless? Of course not. But when artifacts are kept behind glass, when they're revealed in stages, when you have to walk through halls to discover them, you approach with reverence. You take your time. You value what you see because you understand it is not meant to be taken lightly. That's how you should treat yourself. Like a priceless artifact. Not hidden away forever, but revealed with care to those who have earned the privilege. The beauty of earned access is that it filters out the wrong people. Those who are only looking for convenience, for quick gratification, won't stick around. They don't want to do the work of earning your trust. So they'll drift away. And that's a gift. It saves you from wasting time and energy on people who were never serious to begin with. But the ones who stay, the ones who are patient, those are the people who truly care. Those are the ones who are willing to invest in you the way you deserve. And here's something important. When you make people earn access, you also teach them how to treat you. You set the standard. You show them that your life, your story, your presence is not cheap. It's not something to be rushed through. It's something to be honored. People rise to the level of the standards you set. If you hand over everything right away, they'll treat you casually. But if you require patience, effort, and respect, they'll approach you differently. They'll know they're dealing with someone of value. The process of earning access also builds stronger emotional connections. Think about it. When someone slowly uncovers your layers, when they learn more about you over time, every new detail feels like a gift. It strengthens their bond with you because they've worked for it. And for you, it feels safer because you're not exposing everything to someone unproven. You're allowing trust to grow naturally. You're letting time test their intentions. That's how relationships become real, through gradual mutual investment. Too many people make the mistake of thinking that instant intimacy equals deep connection. But real intimacy isn't built in a day. It's not created by telling someone your whole life story over coffee. It's built over time through shared experiences, consistency, and trust. It's built when someone proves they can handle your silence before they earn your words. When they show up not just once, but again and again. When they respect your boundaries instead of pushing past them. And let's be honest, if someone isn't willing to wait, if they aren't willing to earn their way into your life, then they aren't worthy of being there. Because the people who truly value you will understand that your trust is not something to be rushed. It's something to be cherished. They'll be patient because they know what's on the other side of that patience is worth it. So when you're tempted to overshare, when you feel that strong pull to prove yourself or make someone like you faster, stop. Remind yourself that anything given too quickly loses its value. Let people earn the right to know you. Let them show through their actions that they're worthy of access to your life. And in doing so, you'll not only protect yourself, but you'll also create relationships that are real, strong, and lasting. The ones who stay, who respect the process, who honor your boundaries, those are the people who will see the real you. And when they do, the connection will be stronger, more meaningful, and far more valuable than anything built on oversharing and instant gratification. Real relationships are not about speed, they're about substance, and substance can only be built through earned access. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you have. It's the force that drives you, the light that draws people towards you, and the power that keeps you moving through life. But if you're not careful, it can also be drained, taken, and even weaponized against you. Protecting your energy and peace is not optional, it's essential. And one of the fastest ways to lose both is by oversharing with the wrong people. Every time you tell someone something personal, you're giving them a piece of your energy. You're opening a door into your inner world. And not everyone deserves to walk through that door. Some people will honor what you share, they'll hold it gently, respect your trust, and treat your words with care. But others won't. They'll use what you gave them to gossip, to judge, or even to control you. That's why boundaries are not selfish. They are survival. Boundaries are how you protect your peace in a world that constantly wants to consume it. When you like someone, your guard often comes down. You want to believe the best about them. You convince yourself that your openness will create closeness. But liking someone doesn't mean they're safe. Attraction doesn't equal trustworthiness. And giving someone access to your heart, your mind, or your story without testing their character first is a recipe for disappointment. Protecting your energy means recognizing that not every person you're drawn to is worthy of that level of access. There's a freedom that comes with silence. When you keep certain things to yourself, you stay in control of your energy. No one can use what they don't know. No one can disturb peace they can't reach. When you practice restraint, you conserve your strength instead of scattering it across conversations that may not deserve it. And over time, this discipline makes you stronger, more confident, and more centered. Protecting your energy also means being mindful of the emotional weight you carry. Oversharing often comes from a place of wanting to unload. You're carrying pain, stress, or insecurity, and the quickest way to relieve it seems to be handing it to someone else. But ask yourself this: are you giving your burdens to someone who can actually help you carry them, or to someone who will just add more weight by mishandling them? Not every ear is a safe place for your words. Not every heart can hold your truth without dropping it. When you share with the wrong person, you don't just lose energy, you lose peace. Peace is the ability to sit with yourself without chaos. It's the calm you feel when you know you're not exposed, not vulnerable to someone else's judgment or betrayal. And protecting that peace means being selective. It means choosing carefully who gets to hear your story, who gets to be close to you, who gets to occupy space in your life. Because every person you allow in either adds to your peace or steals from it. There is no neutral. Think about the people who leave you drained after a conversation. You walk away feeling lighter because you talked, but heavier because of how they responded. Maybe they judged you, maybe they dismissed you, or maybe they simply weren't capable of giving the kind of support you needed. That's what happens when you overshare without discernment. You trade your peace for temporary relief, and the cost is always higher than you expect. Now think about the people who truly earn your trust. They don't just listen, they honor what you share. They give you space to be real without using it against you. They help protect your energy instead of taking from it. That's who deserves your vulnerability. That's who deserves access to your truth. And until someone proves themselves in that way, your peace is best preserved in silence. Protecting your energy also means refusing to explain yourself to everyone. You don't owe people a full report on your life. You don't need to justify your choices, your boundaries, or your silence. The need to constantly explain is a sign of insecurity, of seeking approval. But when you step into your power, you realize your peace is worth more than someone else's understanding. Sometimes the best response is no response. Sometimes the best explanation is none at all. And here's the secret. People actually respect you more when you protect your peace. When you're not constantly available, when you don't share every thought, when you carry yourself with restraint, others recognize that you value yourself. They see that your energy is not free for the taking. And because of that, they treat you with greater care. Your boundaries teach people how to handle you. If you protect your peace, they'll protect it too. If you don't, they won't. Life will always test your boundaries. People will always want more access than they deserve. But every time you say no, every time you choose silence over oversharing, every time you walk away instead of explaining, you protect your energy. And that energy is what allows you to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your goals, your happiness. Remember this: peace is power. Without peace, your mind is scattered, your heart is unsettled, and your energy is depleted. But with peace, you can think clearly, act deliberately, and live with strength. Protect it fiercely, guard it like your most valuable treasure, because it is. So stop giving your energy to people who haven't earned it. Stop trading your peace for approval. Stop oversharing just because you feel a connection. Your energy is sacred, your peace is priceless, and your story is not meant for everyone. The right people will wait. The right people will respect your silence. The right people will protect your peace alongside you. Everyone else doesn't deserve access. At the end of the day, everything comes down to this. You decide who gets access to you. You decide what to reveal, when to reveal it, and who has earned the right to hear your truth. Oversharing may feel like connection in the moment, but in reality, it's giving away your power before someone has proven they deserve it. Mystery creates respect. Controlling your narrative shapes how others see you. Silence and listening give you clarity and strength. Making people earn access builds relationships that actually last. And protecting your energy and peace ensures that you never lose yourself in the process of trying to be understood. The people who truly value you won't need you to overshare. They won't rush you. They'll wait, they'll respect your pace, and they'll honor your boundaries. And when you finally do open up, your words will carry meaning because they weren't given cheaply. They were given with trust. So hold your story with dignity. Guard your energy like it's priceless, because it is. Don't let your desire to be liked make you forget your worth. Remember, the strongest people aren't the ones who speak the most. They're the ones who know when not to. The most respected people aren't the ones who give everything away. They're the ones who make you earn it. Never overshare, especially when you like them. Because the moment you stop handing away your power so freely, you step into a life where respect, trust, and peace are no longer things you chase. They're things you command. And that is where your real strength lives.